Hello, friends, and welcome into Seattle Seahawks Today. I am your host, Tom Downey, here to discuss all the latest Seahawks rumors and news. And we're beginning with one around Morgan Moses. Should Seattle go sign, and could they sign even, the recently released right tackle formerly of the Washington football team? Now, as I'm sure everyone knows, Brandon Shell right now is the right tackle. And I'm pretty okay with Brandon Shell continuing to start for the team because he's very cheap. But Moses could at least potentially be an upgrade at the position. Now, he's definitely better than Cedric Ogbuehi, but money is a factor at the position with Seattle not having that much available. But Fansited pitched this and had three ideas as to how they could make this work. Number one was to go restructure the contract of Russell Wilson. Save $3 or $4 million is what they had pitched. I'm on board with that. Frankly, I would have restructured Russell Wilson a while ago. Their second point was to cut Brandon Shell after June 1st. Now, that doesn't actually matter. The release versus Brandon Shell now versus after June 1st has no difference in the money saved. Either way, it's $3.35 million because there's no more years left on his deal. So the post-June 1st of spreading dead money into next year as well doesn't actually come into play. Also, you can just designate him a post-June 1st cut. There's no real difference there. Either way, you would probably cut Brandon Shell, save $3.5 million, and then give most of that, and Fansided said some other money, to Morgan Moses, which I don't hate that idea in a general bubble, adding Morgan Moses. I'm not convinced, however, that Moses is a massive, drastic upgrade that you have to go cut Brandon Shell and give Moses even more money. Part of the value of having Brandon Shell in there at right tackle is that he's not that expensive. And the offensive line overall, I think, is better this year. Dwayne Brown, hopefully healthy. Brandon Shell, also hopefully healthy. I think the guards, Gabe Jackson, Damian Lewis, an upgrade. I'm actually more concerned about the center position than I would be the right tackle spot. If Shell's healthy, it's not an elite right tackle, but it's good enough. And I think that's what matters for Seattle. I think playing with Gabe Jackson will also make him look a little bit better. Now back to Moses and why I'm not like, oh yeah, you got to go do this no matter what. The run game is good. He's a good run blocker per Pro Football Focus. It's the passing game stuff, which also partially goes on the quarterback. I get it. But 5 sacks, 13 hits, 20 hurries, that's a pretty significant amount. Now, Moses played more snaps this past year than Brandon Shell did, and he's a better run blocker as well. But from a pass protector standpoint, I almost would rather have Brandon Shell, especially for the perceived value and cost of what Moses would go for right now on the open market. So in a bubble, maybe you could talk me into Morgan Moses being the guy over Brandon Shell. All right, but I think in terms of the contract cost factored in, it's a pretty decently even split. So factoring in the money here, which let's say Moses costs, let's just say 2x what Brandon Shell costs. Who would you rather have? Pick a right tackle for me. Type BS for Brandon Shell or type in MM for Morgan Moses. I actually lean Shell, but I want to hear from you guys. Get your votes in right now in the comments section. Let's go to Russell Wilson. More trade rumors. I'm kidding. No, we're not doing that one today. Instead, we're going a more positive direction here. A report from ESPN and Pete Carroll seemed to indicate that, you know what, things are in a pretty good spot right now between both of those parties. That things are going well. That they're on the same page. And in the end, I've always believed this. Russ and Pete Carroll and Seattle, they just want to win games. How they get to winning those games has been the point of disagreement between those two sides. Now, Pete Carroll recently asked about it. Here's what he had to say. Quote, "It seems like really old news to talk about this because it's been such a long time. The little bit he carried said so much airtime that it became bigger than life. Throughout the whole process, we've always been connected. We've always been talking. We've never not been in communication, and we weren't at all in this time either." He continued, "A couple things that came out got magnified, and the questions came out, and there were a couple things. He was frustrated when he was talking, just like any of us can be sometimes. Emphasize something that's on top of our mind, and can be played out differently than it really played itself out." Now, continuing off of this, there was a report from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN who mentioned that Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, they're in a good place right now. The two sides in a good place. Wilson has been happy with their offseason moves, and although he was not dictating the moves, he had some influence and some level of input in the end. And I think that's a very good thing for Seattle, because keeping your franchise quarterback healthy, or happy I should say, is something you should always want to do. So will, however, Russell Wilson be a Seahawk for life? I do believe this is a pivotal offseason coming up for Seattle. So get your votes in. Type Y for yes, he will be, or type in N for no. I want you guys to download the Newsbreak app. Help support us here at Chat Sports and Seattle Seahawks Today. Go download the app at chatsports.com/SeahawksNB. I'll put that link in the comment section and in the description to make your lives a little bit easier. It's got not just Seahawks Today videos, but also local news and weather, some politics, food, and pop culture updates as well, all localized for you so you can stay in the know with what's going on in your community. So go download the app today at chatsports.com/SeahawksNB. Let's go back to Fansited here. Sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't. It's all opinion, it's all good. They recently put out a 3 breakout star player candidates list, and it was Rasheem Green, Rashaad Penny, and Tre Flowers, which I found very interesting because we recently did a trade candidates video, and those were 3 names on it: Green, Penny, and Flowers. So clearly there's some disagreement here on that one. Now you can check out that video. If you missed it, it's on our channel right now. It's youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Go check it out there. If you need the link, it's right there, bottom of your screen. I suggested that those 3 guys were trade candidates, and I still kind of agree with that because I don't know if they're going to make the roster. So let's go player by player and why I'm not as sold as Fansited appears to be. For Tre Flowers, beginning with the fact that, to be quite honest, I don't think he's that good. I think the Tre Flowers we've seen in recent years is just an okay football player. The coverage stats this past year were not that great. I thought he was pretty poor. And you factor in his contract and what Seattle has on the depth chart between Kelly Witherspoon, DJ Reed, Marquise Blair, Pierre Desir, Ugo Amadi, Trey Brown, Damian Randall. I don't even know if Tre Flowers is going to make this roster. So I would love a breakout for Flowers and every player on this list. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I do feel a little bit better about the role opportunity for Rashaad Penny. Now, he, of course, missed most of last year, was a former first-round pick, does have talent. I would like for Penny to break out, and I would almost rather keep him than sell him at his lowest trade value. But he's not going to be the number 1 back if Chris Carson stays healthy. That's, going to be Carson. And with Seattle looking at guys like Gio Bernard, I wonder if they're not very confident in Rashaad Penny in the end. So we will see, Rashaad Penny. We will see what happens on that one, but I'm at least a little bit concerned there about Penny. As for Rasheem Green, I want to believe that the breakout year is coming for the former 3rd-round pick out of USC. I really do. I've seen flashes at times over his young career. 6 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, bits and moments of, maybe this guy could end up being the player in the end. And I do think there is a role for this team, or for him on this roster, where Poona Ford is going to be your nose guard. I think L.J. Collier, though, is more likely to be the number 2 defensive tackle, especially on passing downs and that 3 technique style and role there. So I want to believe in Rasheem Green. His production and snap count dipped significantly last year. I'm not sure he's the guy to break out. So who is most likely to have a breakout season? I'm going to go with Rashaad Penny myself here, but get your votes in. Type in RG for Rasheem Green, type in RP for Rashaad Penny, or type in TF for Tre Flowers. One last thing I wanted to leave you guys with here before we call it a video. The Seahawks preseason schedule is out, and AFC West run here, and of course all these times Pacific time, because duh, right? At Las Vegas on August 14th, and then home against Denver and the LA Chargers, the 21st and 28th, 6 p.m. for the first game, then 7 p.m. for those other 2. So I'm curious here, folks, how many Seahawks preseason games will you watch? I'm going to watch all of them because I like the preseason because I need help. But I find it fun. So get your votes in for me right now in the comments section.